I want to say that Princess walked right out of the comics and into my heart. She made me cry. I adore her more than absolutely anything in the world.
This episode was just phenomenal, filled with comedic moments as well as just full-on emotional moments. Princess, Judith, Lydia, I feel as though Princess is going to be like the Deadpool of this universe. This is just fantastic. I cannot wait to see more. Thank you.
I just thought that the episode should have been way longer. Like, yeah, that was insane, though. Like, the fucking horse dying and shit. I like the new character. She's fucking dope. Here.
Princess is so flippin' hilarious. Also, Norman Reedus is really sexy. Please marry me.
Welcome back to another episode of Talk Dead to Me, the only Walking Dead podcast with Augustus started season 10. I am your host, Johnny Odell. I'm the social media manager for The Walking Dead. And with me, remotely, is Woody Tondorf. He's our Skybound games producer. And, of course, Alexandra August. She is our podcast producer. Guys, how is it going from quarantine?
We escaped. I'm so excited. Every day is a gift.
I've never been so happy I left LA, like, on the heels of an apocalypse. I am in San Diego. I am at the top of a hill. It is peaceful. It is quiet. And there is an Albertsons I don't feel guilty going to.
Good lines of sight.
That seems like enough information for our fans to find you. So, all you gumshoes out there.
I was going to say, like, good defensive positions, good lines of sight, proper armaments, security is very tight.
Woody, you've been playing a little bit too much Warzone, I think.
Oh my gosh, this is all I'm doing now. This is just where we dropping, boys.
You guys, though,
farmland, always farmland.
Right.
You do remember the fact that I identified myself as Rick Grimes several weeks ago in this entire situation. I am literally like episode 3 Rick Grimes, who has gotten out of a hospital, realized there's a pandemic, and found his family on higher ground.
Also, shout out to the guy who called in for our intro voicemails last week, who definitely took on the persona of Rick Grimes and said, I need to find Rick Grimes. I'm in California. I'm stuck. It's getting real bad. Woody, what do we have to look forward to in this week's episode?
In this very special remote and also / makeshift season finale, we're going to play winners and losers. We're going to play some ShipWatch. We're going to have a very special segment called Was There Any Dog? I've got a quick little shot take to blow your minds. And then we're going to have our special guest, Paola Lazaro, is going to be here, who plays Princess. She's going to talk with Johnny. He's so lucky. And then we're going to take some voicemails about who won season 10.
I'm very excited about that. And
Big
I can't
episode.
wait to see what you guys have said.
I am just so delighted to meet Princess. She is one of my favorite new characters, and I'm so excited that we got Paola on this episode. That was wonderfully timed.
Alexandra, where can people find us?
People can find us on all major podcast platforms: Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Overcast. Depending on what you listen to, I guarantee you we are there. If you're listening to us right now, it's probably not information that you need, but if you have friends who watch The Walking Dead and feel themselves a little unfulfilled after episodes, then let them know where they can find us and that they can listen to Talk Dead to Me. And if you feel like it, subscribe to us, give us a review, helps with our visibility, lets us be a little closer to you.
All right, and God knows we don't have enough closeness in our lives. And that actually ties in with this week's episode called The Tower, where we saw most of our heroes cooped up in confined spaces for a long period of time. Can definitely relate. Meanwhile, the princess took our friends on a really dangerous mission, while Daryl and Judith got some quality bonding time. So now let's jump into the episode. We're going to start with winners and losers.
Some people are winning, some people are losing, but it's The Walking Dead, so everyone turns.
Rah!
Where is the musical replacement for this? Seriously, this is garbage, okay?
Can someone give us some of their free labor, please?
Help me. You are bored. I know this. Some of you have some kind of musical acumen, okay? Just fucking nut up.
For my winner this week, I'm going to have Negan. Now, I know he didn't have the biggest role this episode, especially not as big as he had last episode, but, right before a battle or a big moment, our characters just love to have heart-to-hearts and kind of tie up some loose ends. It happens almost every time without fail. And in this episode, we saw Negan finally address Lydia. They kind of had, they were kind of buds back in Alexandria before, Carol let him out and all this stuff happened. And now that Alpha's dead, Lydia kind of had a bone to pick with him and, still getting over the trauma of losing her mother. But Negan, he's like, you know what? Hit me if it makes you feel better. And eventually they hugged it out. And it was an important, sort of tying up that storyline where Negan and Lydia had a nice moment. So, I think Negan, he was a winner this episode.
Yeah, Negan is showing layers on layers. He's now completely in the group, I think. Like, he's in the shit with all of them. He's done the deed. I think he's now been... He's not totally welcome back into the fold, obviously, because like some people are still giving him like the side eye because he's Negan. But I think like the dude is now being accepted, and this is a huge development for the character.
Yeah, it was just nice for people. Like, I feel like it was nice that this didn't happen overnight too. We've had an entire 2 seasons now with Negan being in confinement and wrestling with his past, and other people wrestling with his position among the survivors. And so to see this during season 10, for this just sort of like just to inch forward, makes this redemption arc something that's really, really compelling, and not something that was clearly been in the works since season 6. Like, I've always questioned whether or not Negan's going to make it to this far in the series, and it's nice that there are stakes to that.
Yeah, and in the comics, even though Negan like beheads Alpha and kind of makes nice with Rick and everything, he still doesn't find a place for himself in Alexandria because of everything that's happened in the past, and he's basically forced to live in isolation for the rest of his life, as far as we know. So I honestly hope that doesn't happen in the show, and I hope he is welcomed back, and I think him making nice with Lydia and, kind of having a relationship with Judith is actually going to help towards that. So, Woody... Yep.
Yeah, sorry, just to springboard off that before I get into my winners, I think, the difference, though, between the TV show and the comic is that in the comic, like, Rick was still alive. And I don't think that between the two of them, especially after the Whisperer War, it was kind of like, what is Negan's faction? Or, I'm sorry, I think after the Whisperer War, the question became, like, what is Negan's function beyond being just, like, a funnier, darker Rick? And so like I think that was a good story choice to kind of like have him go away. And even then, like, it wasn't like Negan was gone for very long. After the Whisperer Wars, the Commonwealth, then you get a New World Order, and then like Rick's death and the time jump. So like you're maybe talking about like 12, 15 episodes where Negan's not really part of the cast. So now that you're into the TV show, I think you're seeing, and I keep harping on this because I'm absolutely right, like in a Rickless world, Negan now functions as that sort of dude. And I think that they're starting to move more into that direction where it's a more like organic way for him to fit into that. He's still working towards it, but man, like you're seeing a dude by the end of this episode who has had 8 years really to think about his legacy and like what his life has meant. And now he's come all the way around to like talking with Lydia, and the whole line that like, I think that you should hit me. It will make you feel better. Like he understands like what he did to people, and like, yeah, exactly. And so now he's like this fully like this realized new character who like has gone on this really incredible journey. And for most Walking Dead characters, that's a death sentence. And you would absolutely die in that same episode. But like he came to that realization like episodes ago. So I think there's no ceiling to the Negan character at this point in the TV show. It's so exciting.
Wow.
Seriously. I mean, you can't keep Jeffrey Dean Morgan in a box. Come on.
All right, Woody, who's your winner?
My winner is Zeke. And look, I'm gonna be honest about this. This is a runner-up winner. We know who the clear winner is for this episode, but just for the moment when Princess introduces herself as Princess and has that whole like bit where she's talking about like, I wasn't sure if I wanted to say that out loud to people because like who would ever name themselves after royalty? That's weird, right? And then she's like, who are you guys? And he goes, Ezekiel goes, and then you watch him go through in an instant, just through his face, a like, oh my God, this is this whole journey that I've got of calling myself King Ezekiel. Well, I'm Ezekiel, and that happens in like a fraction of a second, but just for that, like it was perfect for me. And
it was
also
just a light moment of comedy that it, like really, really highlight like moments of levity in The Walking Dead are rare, especially towards the end of the season. That was just a fantastic like I
wrote in my notes for this episode, like you're absolutely right.
What the fuck was that?
This is I'm gonna say that's some sort of weird processing error through Zoom that we're hearing that, because it couldn't have sounded like that.
Alexandra's half dolphin.
But I had written in my notes in all caps, funniest episode yet. and maybe like ever of The Walking Dead. I mean, the Jesus
And
episode
also-
was like slapstick and great and like physical comedy, but like this was just like we laughed out loud several times, and Zeke was a big part of that. Like he just buys the ticket, takes the ride.
And side note, Ezekiel was the original Tiger King, and I tweeted that. I tweeted that early last week, and people liked it. And then 5 days later, AMC's Walking Dead account tweeted it, and they made like a whole graphic with it where they're like, Ezekiel, the original Tiger King, and they got more likes than me.
Oh.
And I was petty, so I like commented.
You salty.
I just said sigh, and I linked to my original tweet.
Oof.
So I just want the record to show that I tweeted that first.
Tough look, AMC. You know, people are always coming after the original king because you have your finger on the pulse of the internet, Johnny. But you also can't stand when somebody does better than you in social media. Like, remember like a few weeks ago or
They're
like a
not
month
doing
ago?
better. They literally copied my shit.
No, I'm talking about like when Jennifer Aniston got onto Instagram and like immediately had 1 million people, and like you came into the podcast in a state. You did not understand
Johnny
what this
does
is
not
going
miss
on.
shit like that, folks. In case you are if you ever want to one-up Johnny on social media, please know that he will feel it and he will be angry at you.
Johnny Odell
come
keeps
for you.
score. Yeah.
Alexandra, who is your winner this week?
Princess.
Hey.
Yeah.
And
Ding, 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 ding,
also
ding.
myself, because now Princess is in my life, and I'm so excited about
Hey.
it. And specifically because this is not going to sound maudlin. I've dealt with like being isolated and lonely a lot in my life, and just all of a sudden now I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, that is exactly what I would do if I were stuck in the apocalypse by myself. I would find ways to amuse myself, and I've always wanted to go to the cities. In my head, like if I were part of Rick's group, I would be like, cool, check my watch. It's been 8 years, bet those cities are still empty. Time to make one my playground. Yeah.
Hey.
And then she found,
Wait.
but she found friends.
Isn't Princess honestly like? There's no way they could have planned this. She is the perfect character to show up in The Walking Dead right now. Someone who has self-quarantined for years and literally questioning humans in front of her if they're real. And she's so bored, she's created her entire, atmosphere around, her city. Like, she's created, her own situations.
I love that she has the moment of like, wait a minute, you guys are real, right? Like
Yeah.
that was perfect. Like,
and what also too, the reason she's a winner, I think, is because she has stayed sane, she has stayed calm, she has stayed alive for this long, despite the fact that she doesn't have anybody else. And then she makes some good friends and she proves herself to them. And that seemed like it just took such a weight off her. She genuinely seemed very sad and lonely and didn't think that she was going to hang on for much longer. But also too, she's kind of like, she almost feels like she's from an alternate universe apocalypse.
Totally.
And so she's such a fun addition to this show because she's a different flavor than anyone. And she kind of feels like a person who just got here, that the apocalypse happened for yesterday, that all of this stuff just happened, that she's still fairly pre-apocalyptic, which is a vibe we haven't had much of. And I just cannot wait for her to meet everyone else.
And she's actually a winner. She was almost a loser this week because she almost got everyone murdered in this minefield.
I mean, she killed the horse.
She just casually took it. She did that horse. I love how
she killed a couple horses.
Hey, was that? They're like, what happened to that horse? Did it get eaten? And it's in 20 different pieces. They're like, no, that blew up. No, she was almost a loser. Like, she's even turned to Zeke at one point and was like, I'm messing this up, right? And he's like, it could be better. But she totally redeemed herself. And the funniest part, because Woody, you said it was a funny episode. The funniest part, she promised them wheels. She did not specify. So when she takes them to the garage full of bicycles,
still wheels.
And I love that Eugene was like, well, it's faster than walking. And you're not wrong, Eugene. Good call.
Zeke, and that's another reason that Zeke was my winner. Like, he just goes for it, and he looks at them being like, nobody asked, was it 4 wheels attached to a car? Like, she just said she had wheels. Like, you know what? We should recognize that we are in a different playing field, and we are playing by a different set of rules. And Zeke is the only person who realizes that and kind of goes with it.
He's embracing it. Zeke is meeting somebody who's treated this apocalypse with the same kind of whimsy and positive outlook and genuine, just hey, let's silver linings, guys. Let's have some fun where we can and just, make it a little bit lighter, which is one of the reasons I've always liked Zeke as a character, because I would be similar like that, always trying to make the best of everything. And I like that he's found someone who's the same kind of daffy as he is to a degree, who's essentially a playmate, because he's lost Carol, who was always like kind of reluctant to be this queen, and now now Princess is there, and it's like, you found a little like-minded individual. Meanwhile, Yumiko is ready to slit her own wrists because she's sick of everyone surrounding her.
But I think that's part of the thing that, like, I was just about to say, like, Ezekiel, like, yes ands his whole way through this episode. But I also think, like, to a degree, like, The Walking Dead itself goes like, okay, we're gonna do this slight little tonal shift, and it's not a guarantee, because this Princess character is a risk within, like, the larger, like, tone and style of the show. And so, but they go forward with it with such a confidence that really wins me over, that even when, like, she brings them through a fucking minefield where she loses count of the steps, in any other character, if that was Eugene, we'd be like, what the shit are you doing, dude? But, like, everybody's kind of like, and I'm sure there might be some people who aren't, but, like, by and large, I think everybody's kind of like, yeah, okay, sure. When they get to the bicycle thing, like, Yumiko is groaning because life is pain to her, but, like, everybody, like, we laughed, Zeke laughs. I think, like, everybody in the audience is looking at this being like, oh, you. Like, everybody's on board for it.
I think another thing, one of the reasons I really liked Princess's addition and just kind of, and really felt her getting a win this week, is that The Walking Dead, I think, has sort of backdoored into addressing mental health issues, but it's kind of tough to take that seriously when the conditions surrounding those mental health issues are so extreme and so far from reality that we face. But Princess being isolated and needing that kind of support and being really scared that she's not doing the right thing felt intensely relatable on that kind of level, which just made me... I'm really, really curious to see how people react to her. I hope it's going to be as overwhelmingly positive as we have been. But I'm really excited to see in a long-term fashion, like, what people glean from her and what people say about her.
Johnny is dying to jump in here, but I will just say really quick to add on to that. Both two characters in this episode hear voices. And only one of them is talking about it. Princess says, I hear a little voice. Beta actually hears voices from, like, the zombies. So, Johnny, I'm sorry, you're dying to talk.
So now let's go on to our losers. My favorite loser this week is the Ditch Whisperer. So
it's a great name for her.
It is. So in this, everyone couldn't really take the quarantine. They all had to go on a walk. Same. We get it. It's really funny just how relevant this episode is. So Daryl and Judith have some moments where they encounter some walkers and then a whisperer. And Daryl doesn't really want Judith to be out on her own, so he decides to kind of teach her the ways. And they run into a whisperer, and Daryl asks for some information, gets some, not enough, and just kills the whisperer. And Judith's like, what about their family? And Daryl's like, you haven't watched this show, have you? That's not how this works. But if you're dying in a ditch while wearing someone else's skin, your life didn't go the way you planned. And
that's fair.
So that is why Ditch Whisperer is my big loser.
Although I'm going to say the Ditch Whisperer is kind of like is more of like a moral victory, because at least, like, you left of your own volition and you didn't stick around to get, like, shanked by Beta because you made a slight observation, but like, oh, it's sunny out, I've been stabbed.
And you weren't fed to, like, your leader's newly zombified face either.
Yeah.
I mean, Daryl was like, why are you upset, Judith, that I killed this person? It was quick. Calm down. Let's go on.
But also, you taught a 12-year-old a big lesson, so congrats.
I like that Judith is now getting to the point of every Walking Dead character arc where she goes, maybe killing is wrong?
Hard maybe,
I know, and that's dangerous, because being a moral compass has never, ever, ever worked out for anyone on the show.
Yeah, that
now,
starts the death
Woody, speaking of death, who's your loser this week?
Horses. Not a great episode to be a horse. Or the episode before. Yeah, it's I don't know where they're.
Or to be a landmine.
Look, yeah, I think the
landmine had a field day. Are you serious?
That's the whole, like, what is your purpose, to, like, blow up and surprise people? Like,
landmines been waiting. I guess
you're right.
For decades.
Landmines are the sneaky winner of this episode. Right. Right off the bat, you have Princess who to just go off all of the deal of, like, Princess's, like, comic relief that the show, like, just loves. She immediately opens fire with her giant machine gun on, like, a couple walkers. So we have an addition to the zombie lexicon thanks to Princess. So now we can also
rotters.
Call zombies
good one.
Rotters, because fine. It's pretty good. I do love that The Walking Dead really commits to the idea that zombies as a pop culture thing just, like, never happened, so nobody has a word for it.
Well, also too, the idea that like these are all disparate people, and that you would not depend on, even though this apocalypse took place like all over the world at roughly the same time. Of course, not everyone is going to call them the same thing when everybody is dispersed and there's no more mass media.
But that's the thing, like just once, I want somebody to run into another group, and this will probably only happen on Fear the Walking Dead, where they're like, oh, look, shufflers, and they're like, oh, we call them shufflers too, holy fucking shit, and everybody's like, oh my god, that's amazing, like, and then everybody just assumes that's what people call them. I don't know, I just want... There's so many different like human tribes or clans or whatever who all have different names for them. Like some have to overlap, right? Anyways, that's my thought on The Walking Dead.
That's fantastic. Alexandra, who is your loser this week?
My loser this week were Alden and Aaron, who were two dads that had a very rough work day.
Oh man, almost rip.
These motherfuckers volunteered to go to the place where the horde is. These men are fathers. Like, anybody else could go. Why do these two dudes have to like be like the scout team?
Short straw, and that's why they're the losers of this episode. Somehow they got put in a position and then they got very predictably captured, which was I wasn't looking forward to that. I like both of those characters quite a bit, and I was like, but that was rough. I was like, I mean, it's just. Parenting this season has been, a little bit nebulous. Michonne
hasn't been easy.
Michonne calls her daughter real quick and is like, "Cool, I gotta run. I promise."
When will you be back? Static.
Aaron and Alden are like, "Listen, we gotta solve this problem. We're gonna give it a shot. Bye, Gracie. Love you."
Bye. Also, hey, Alden, if Beta almost catches you by like a millisecond, like peering over him, don't immediately, like when you hide back in your little tower, don't 3 seconds later look back again to see if he's looking, because you didn't give him enough time, buddy.
Look a second time.
You know he's there. You know the herd's there. There's not much else to look at. Just stay there. What are you doing? I mean, I love how they were doing like that oh my god. I love how they were doing the Scooby-Doo thing where like, they have the heads just peering out like, one on top of the other basically at the door frame. That's fantastic. I really want someone to animate The Walking Dead at some point. I think they could make a real quality kids program. And that wraps up winners and losers for this week. Now we're going to go on to our new favorite segment called Was There Any Dog This Week? Woody, take it away.
Yes.
And that was There Any Dog This Week? Now on to ShipWatch. For my quick ShipWatch this week is a friendship watch. I touched on it a little bit earlier. It is Daryl and Judith. Without Rick and Michonne for the foreseeable future, Judith is basically going to have to rely on Daryl being her parent. And even though he's, Uncle Daryl, he's going to do a lot of the heavy lifting, a lot of the raising. And that continued this episode when they went hunting together and she learned about, maybe some questionable ethic decisions when it comes to who do we kill, who do we save. But, Judith, who we thought was really, a hard motherfucker, she's beginning to feel more like a kid. Like, I don't know, these are real people. Should we be killing them? And Daryl's like, yes, we should. I don't care that if they had a family. Like these are the decisions we have to make to survive. So I'm hoping that Judith takes it in stride and doesn't like go off in another direction. And she wants to be like Morgan 2.0 because take that shit to fear. Speaking of gentle and kind, Alexandra, who is your ShipWatch this week?
Again, and I underline this a whole lot. This is a friendship watch, Negan and Lydia. I know we talked about him a little bit up the top, but I wanted to highlight this because I know it's sometimes a little bit hard for me to watch Negan being so affectionate and so sweet because it is a mile away from where we met him, but it is nice to have seen that arc, so that's good. And this in particular, I thought was very, very sweet and touching because it reminded me a whole lot of his time with Carl. Specifically, like his just relationship with Carl and how through Carl was where we got to see some of Negan's humanity. Like we got to see glimpses of it in that first season, in the season 6 and 7 a bit and into season 8. But early on, we didn't see much of it. If we did see it, it was through Carl. And Lydia coming back kind of activated that part of him for me. And it didn't feel as strange or as out of character for him to be as kind and sympathetic and sensitive to her, because he clearly knows how to speak to kids her age, and he clearly has an instinct to protect people who cannot protect themselves to some degree. And it's nice to see him fighting to push for that side of himself rather than to push for the blowhard, charismatic leader that he used to be. And I feel like we've seen him sort of we've seen him be tempted with alpha and then sort of tempted with the other side of stuff. And he's made a choice this season, and that was evident there.
I think I want to go back to something you said at the beginning of that, where that he's different when it comes to like kids. Like Negan has always maintained the line of being friendly with kids. Like everything that he does with that he did with Carl, like has always been like at worst benevolent. And I think that continues on to with Judith and Lydia and really every single child that Negan meets. I just think the difference is the sort of person that he is around the adults and like how he is seeing the world. And I think the Negan that we're seeing now is much more of that, like he has been kind of like beaten down by the world, but also kind of like understands how it all works. He doesn't have to be that like crazy red scarfed version of himself. Like it's also interesting from like a makeup point of view that Negan has ever since the Whisperer War, like still has like that eye makeup type stuff that makes him like that he was wearing kind of like a Batman mascara type deal, but now just kind of like makes him like his eyes a little bit like sunken in, a little more like he just looks weary.
Right.
And I think that energy like really kind of goes where it's not low energy, but it's more of like a therapist like accepting like the energy of it, I guess.
Yeah. So my ship watch this week is an unlikely pairing, and I love Angela Kane for this. Carol and Kelly. Carol had kind of she's always been a lone wolf, and this is something that Kelly brought up to her. And, Carol finally had a little moment, of course, because, right before a big scene, battle, moment before you die, everyone's having heart-to-hearts, like I said before. And Carol, got very emotional and apologized to Kelly because she assumes that Connie's dead, like a lot of us do. And she apologized, and Kelly's like, she's not dead. And by the way, this whole lone wolf stuff, you shouldn't think that this is like you're going crazy or that like, you should be ostracized for it. Like, it's your superpower. Like how when I'm losing my hearing, that's my superpower. And I remember Angel Theory, if you go back to that episode, her telling me that was, advice she actually got in real life for when she started losing her hearing. So it was really sweet to see this moment. And I hope that in the future, there's more scenes between Kelly and Carol. What a unique pairing. For the longest time before Angela Kane came around to showrun, Carol never really got to interact one-on-one with a lot of characters that were main characters like Negan, but now we're seeing it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like especially this season, how Carol's, I don't want to say importance. It's not like anybody's unimportant, but her status this season has been, she's also kind of taking the place of Rick a little bit. I think everybody's taking a little bit of the Rick mantle, and I like that Carol is given sort of the significance that she deserves as somebody who has been on a very up and down arc for the entire run of this show. She battles things over and over and over again, and it's never not interesting.
Totally.
I like that there's a couple different bits of like the show mythology that also gets dropped in there through that conversation. That like Kelly mentions that everybody is learning sign language because of her, and right. I think that there's. I'm waiting for. I don't think it'll be in this season. Well, it wasn't in this quote unquote season finale. Maybe it will be in the very special episode or in a future season. But like seeing an entire community of people being able to communicate via sign language is a tactically very important skill.
Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
So that's a fun thing to think about, where you're able to can you communicate from far away silently through just like the hand signals. Like that's pretty handy to have. And that's also like, the idea that go ahead.
That's like a one-up from whispering, because whispering, you're like, wait, what did you say? But sign language, you could do that from yards away.
Yeah.
And you don't have to wear dead people's skin.
Yeah, next season we'll have the signers.
They're really nice, though.
They
really
smell
nice.
way better.
Yeah.
And then the idea that like Kelly's heard the stories of old Carol, like Terminator Carol.
Yeah.
Like, what are the campfire stories that get told about Carol when she's there, and what are the stories that get told when Carol's not there?
Oh, I love that. I can't.
oh.
I'd love to hear what they like. How because it's probably a little game of telephone where some of it's exaggerated, but some of it is fucking crazy. Where it's like, oh yeah, there was this time where like these people called the Wolves who were, infiltrated Alexandria, and she dressed up like one of them and then slaughtered all of them. And then there was another time where she hid a machine gun in the sleeve of her jacket and took off a bunch of saviors. Like, it's like, holy shit.
Yeah, the history is written by the victors, plus like nobody being able to be like, hey God, that's bullshit. Like, check that for internet facts. Like the legend of Carol has to be fucking epic.
Oh, it'd be so great. All right, before we get on to voicemails, I'm seeing in my notes here that, Woody, this looks like your handwriting. Shot takes? Are we doing a little shot take today?
All right, so this was while I was I was intoxicated with this entire episode. And look,
in general.
And I think we were also drinking at the time too. Yeah, but look, I'm going to put it out there. Ezekiel and Princess need to bang. I mean,
Yes!
This energy, the chemistry between the two of them, the king and princess, like he's on a road trip. She's a free spirit. They're going to find some mythical community. Like, this is fantastic stuff. And like Zeke is maybe 36 hours from death or 36 years. Who the fuck knows with the thyroid thing? But like, I honestly, like, the two of them together are such a fantastic pair. And like, just because he's like just buying into the energy of it, like I'd like to see it.
Well, and
That'd be
also, like, as much
fantastic.
as I really liked Carol's, Carol and Ezekiel's, I liked what Ezekiel gave Carol as this wonderful, wonderful dreamland for several years, where she could have a calm, happy marriage and raise a child and enjoy a peaceful life, where she was helping other people, also helping other people enjoy a peaceful life. That was wonderful. That went away in an incredibly traumatic way, and it was not the first time or the second time or the third time Carol had lost someone like that the way that she lost Henry. So Carol doesn't have the emotional bandwidth available to give Zeke the partnership and last couple of months of his life that he needs. So I also heartily endorse Zeke and Princess. Let him have some ludicrous fun and start a small theater company before that thyroid cancer gets to work.
All right, now we're going to go on to voicemails. This week we asked you guys, who has won The Walking Dead Season 10 so far? Obviously, we have one episode left, but so far, after 15 episodes, who do you think has won? Let's listen to your voicemails.
This is DJ Fry in Lafayette, Georgia. I believe Carol Negan has won Season 10 of The Walking Dead, hands down.
Yep. Look, I think we didn't specify if it was groups of people or not, so I'm going to say, yeah, absolutely. Carol and Negan 100% won this season from both performance standpoints and from just like unmitigated badassery across the board. 100%. Yes, this is a winner.
And a
I don't
new
know.
friendship.
Yeah, I don't know why we're listening to any other voicemails. This guy already won, but let's give it a shot.
All right.
Hey, it is Julian Cannon, writer of Alternative Minds, and the winner for this season is Negan. He had a complete overhaul of the character change from the start of the season to right now. And he practically kept his word the entire time. So if there's anyone that should be the winner of this season, it is Negan. Plus, we are all Negan.
Oh, that was Julian Cannon from Alternative Minds. He's one of the people who cover the show on a regular basis. So he, very informed opinion over here.
Also, I leaned my my ear towards the computer so I could hear it better, but I'm wearing headphones. Like, anyways, yeah, Julian's 100% correct. The character journey that Negan's gone on, the arc in this season is just fantastic, and like what he's been able to do, the one-liners that he's been able to spout, like there's so many different Negan moments from this season that you could pull out that like just shine. And I think of Carol's really great. Ezekiel's had a great season. Alpha's incredible, but I think Negan is just like he's won this season.
All right.
Hi, it's Mama Deadhead. Who do I think has won Season 10 so far? For me, obviously Princess, but overall, without a doubt, 100%, Alpha has won Season 10 because she's dominated. She has been the talk of the entire fandom, and here she is gone for a couple episodes, and yet she is still pushing the story forward, and she was going to continue to do that as the face of Beta going into 15 and 16. So Alpha, 100% all the way.
Wow, Mama Deadhead, always insightful.
Again, well-considered points, excellent delivery, yeah, and a refreshing change. And honestly, like you could make a very strong case for Alpha having won season 10.
You could make a very
She's
strong
terrific.
case for Alpha having retroactively won all other seasons, as far as I'm concerned.
Go on.
No, I just reiterate the fact that she is arguably the most frightening villain this show has ever seen, and she would have made mincemeat of the governor. She would have incinerated the wolves. There is no one on the big bad side in The Walking Dead who could have stood up to Alpha, except for Negan.
And yeah, it's crazy that Beta's wearing half her face. Like, can you imagine if Negan wore like half the governor's face? Like, that would be fucking crazy.
If he took the eye patch though, that'd be fucking awesome.
That would be fucking sick.
Yeah.
All
that
right,
would be great. You just take the totem of the person before you. If that was true, then like Rick would have been covered up to like his hip in just different viscera from different
trophies.
people.
In my mercy. Covered in my mercy.
Hey, I'm Joshua Dummel from Wallingford, Connecticut, and I definitely think that Negan has totally won season 10 so far. Just because of his character development, going from being the biggest and baddest villain to the saddest boy on Earth, to leaving Alexandria only to find that there's nothing left for him, to coming there after the realization that he actually wants to be part of the group, and taking steps to do that. Thank you very much.
Another vote for Negan.
Yeah.
Look, the Negan stands are coming out the woodwork this season. A lot of fair weather Negan fans who are like, oh, I always loved him. Where were you while he was in jail, okay? Where were you while he was popping heads, trying to do what he did best, and making people as a resource, but killing off your beloved Glenn? Where were you people then?
My winner for the season, outside of Negan and Judith, who I think Judith just has been incredible this season, I would say the people who are stuck on Virgil's Island. God knows how long they've been there. And thank God Michonne came around.
You're saying
and
those
freed
people
them.
won season 10.
What?
You're saying the Virgil Island dwellers won season 10.
I mean, they're free, aren't they?
Sure.
No, they're not my number one. I would say, I would say Daryl's actually my winner for season 10, in all seriousness. He is, Michonne might have Rick's boots, but Daryl has filled his shoes.
Nice.
Daryl has really come into his own. He has done a lot of Rick Grimes things, and he's done a lot of like Daryl-fied things. Like last week, faced with a shotgun in his face by Negan, he just says, "Just shoot me." I mean, he's such a badass, and he's the leader that everyone needs. I think Daryl is by far and away the winner of season 10.
Johnny, just to toss the thing at you, I don't know if you watch the rewatchables, but they have a thing called the Dion Waiters Heat Check Award. So, so for Princess, if Princess was on a basketball team, how would you box score Princess's involvement in the last episode and a 10th?
You miss every shot you don't take, and she took a lot of shots, and she missed a lot of them, but all in all, I think, she helped our heroes get where they needed to go. So I think her assists were super high. Her points may have been low. Probably had a single. But yeah, that's what I would say.
I think she comes on for 2 minutes, has a terrific defensive stand, really gets a rally going, but probably just bricks at least one wide open three, and people were like, "Oh, come on, Princess," and she kind of gives a shrug. And
100%.
who me, and just keeps on going, but really gels the team in crunch time.
Are we done
Alexandra totally agrees.
Finished?
Sorry, we're talking the sports ball.
Little inside sports balls over here.
Some of our fans probably like sports.
Alexandra,
us?
who is your winner for the season so far?
Honest to God, this one is Gamma.
Wow.
Which I know she's dead, which would seem to signify she lost. But how hard she fought for her own integrity and to eventually just come back to being a person she didn't loathe was was really moving, and seeing her fight to hurt Beta and rip off his mask when that basically machete was cutting up her own insides was just such an incredible, was the ending to a really long journey to get away from the person who watched her sister die and was too afraid and too beaten down to object to the inhumanity she saw before her, to somebody who said, no, I am not going to give in to this. I'm not going to give in to my own fear. I'm going to fight for my nephew. I'm going to fight for what I believe is right. And she fought for it literally until her dying breath. And that was a pleasure to watch. I was really sorry to see her go. I was hoping Thora Birch was going to be a regular.
Yeah, that would have been a fun thing to watch somebody who had just kind of like shed the Whisperer lifestyle and like had lived among them, had seen that kind of like craziness, but also brought some of that like weird like animal survival skill into the team. I'm gonna miss her scenes with Aaron. I think that duo was a really great was a great combination. And to your point, like if you're like literally disemboweled on like stabby McTwo knives, like Bowie knives, like normal humans are just going to collapse and be dead, and she had just the wherewithal to like she never gave up.
100%. Woody, who do you think has won the season so far?
The answer is very clearly obvious, and I'm disappointed in both of you for not mentioning him. Earl.
Oh, that heart is a motherfucker.
Hardest motherfucker to walk planet Earth. That son of a bitch went out in the most metal way possible. And also the fact that like he was the galvanizing force in the Battle of Kingtop, where he was like, you listen, assholes, they're gonna come for us. They don't fucking care if we're women or children or men. I made goddamn trebuchets at the top of these walls, and I will be damned if we don't use them against these evil skinwalkers. Earl was the best.
Earl didn't need any philosophical moral debate going on inside his own head. He was just like, this is fucking clear. These people are awful. These people are not. We kill the awful people and protect the babies.
I love last week that you said he's in heavy metal heaven. I 100% agree. And I also want to see what heavy metal heaven, I mean, we know in Murder Falcon, but that is a fantastic image just to see him right there.
God, I'll miss that son of a bitch.
And that brings us to our guest this week. She plays the princess on The Walking Dead, even though we've only seen her for 2 short episodes. We're now going to get her story. It is Paola Lazaro. I interviewed her a few weeks back, and she was a delight. And now she's blowing up on social media. Make sure to follow her on Paola_Lazaro on all social media platforms. Let's get into it, Past Johnny.
She rules.
Our next guest is the newest Walking Dead cast member. You just met her as Princess, but she's also an amazing playwright with an incredible story. Paola Lazaro, how's it going today?
What's up? How y'all doing?
Hey.
How's it going today? I'm doing good. I'm a little nervous, not gonna lie.
That's okay. I'm a little nervous too, but I think I nailed your name, so I think we're off to a good start so far.
I think you did fantastic. I wish everybody would say it just like that.
Thank you so much. All right, and I'll never say it again. No, I'm kidding. All right, so for most Walking Dead fans, this last week was their first introduction to you. So for those who don't know, who is Paola Lazaro?
Oh wow! Oh shit!
I know.
Wow.
So you were born in Puerto Rico.
Yeah,
right?
I was born in San Juan, Puerto Rico, born and raised.
Okay.
I left Puerto Rico when I graduated high school and went to New York. And what else? What else can I say about that? And it's just been a wild ride. It's been a wild ride.
You once said that a drama teacher once told you that you never succeed as an actor because you don't have the discipline. And for those who don't know, you actually have a BFA in dramatic writing and an MFA in playwriting from Columbia University. And
Yes,
also
sir.
you're on The Walking Dead. So where's that person now?
Listen, I was 11 years old and I went to an all-girls Catholic high school back in Puerto Rico, and very few, it was like a small school, and she knew that I was one of the 575 girls in the school that wanted to be an actor. Nobody else, everybody wanted to be a lawyer and a doctor, and and all that stuff. And, you know, she knew that that's what I wanted to do. And I wanted to write and act and do all these things. And she just had this thing against me. And it was so sad because I was 11 years old. Why would you talk to an 11-year-old like that? But yeah, she said to me, you know, I told her I want to be an actor. And she said to me, you know, she was like, Paola, tú nunca vas a lograr, I'll translate. She was like, Paola, tú nunca vas a lograr nada. No vas a ser actriz y no vas a lograr mucho porque no tienes disciplina. She said, like, you'll never be an actor and you'll never amount to much because you don't have any discipline.
Oh my God.
And I remember it broke my heart, but you know, sort of now I look back on it and it kind of propelled me. We didn't really do plays in our school, but they were going to do West Side Story. and she was directing, obviously. And so I aimed low because I was like, okay, she don't like me. So I aimed low and I auditioned for the character of Anybody. Do you know what character that is? She's
yes.
She's like the girl that follows the Jets around. She basically has one line. And all she says in the show is like, wait up, boys! And
I had to rack my memory for that one, yes.
I come in guns blazing with my one line, wait up, boys! Tell me how I did not get that part. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was a really, I mean, I'd hire you. That's
Thank
fantastic.
you, right? Like, I practiced that for so long. I did not get the part. And she knew like what she was doing. It was like, no, I'm not giving you that. But, you know, I sent her the best. You know, people, who knows what she was going through. But don't talk to kids like that is all I'm saying. Encourage children.
Or was she like low-key inspiring the hell out of you?
Oh, yeah, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. She wasn't Jedi mind tricking you like one of those movies. It was actually like she was just kind of a dick.
No, I think by now I would have been like, oh yeah, that was like my Jedi, like the mind trick. But no, who knows? Maybe in like 10 years I'll be like, oh shit, she was pushing me. But you know, a lot of people say that about criticism and like how we take that and make it constructive for ourselves, you know, and push ourselves.
You studied dramatic writing, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And how did you get into that? Just because your theater background, but then maybe did you like also just have a passion for writing?
Well, I didn't really have a theater background because nobody let me do it.
Oh, that's right. You had a theater passion.
But I think I always knew that I wanted to do something with writing, acting, and music. All those things involved. I don't know, I just really got into writing. And I wrote this like 10-minute monologue. We had this group called Forensics League, and it was like like a speech group. And like I wrote this original comedy piece, and that's what I submitted to get into college. And
that's cool.
It, you know, and I was like, oh, dramatic writing has theater, film, and television writing, and I was like, cool, this is something that I'm into. And there I went. There I left Puerto Rico.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All based on your writing.
Yeah. All based on my writing, and you know, like I said, it was a wild ride.
Did you go straight to Columbia after that, or was there in between?
I went straight to Columbia after that.
So after Columbia, what do you do?
After Columbia, I submitted a play to the Public Theater in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And I got into the Emerging Writers Group at the Public Theater, where I developed a new play. And I spent 2 years in that program. And and in that time, somebody called me and they were like, they were like, oh, my friend is looking for an actor for this play. And I was like, I'm not an actor. Like, I was like,
right,
you know,
yeah.
And she's like, I had started like acting here and there because of the theater company that I joined, which was Labyrinth Theater Company. And I don't know, theater people from New York will know what company that is, but it essentially saved my life, and changed my life forever. And I'm very thankful for their support. But they started putting me on stage because it was an ensemble-based company, and I was like, "Oh God, I don't act. I hadn't acted in a while." So I was just like, the only thing I had acted was like my 10-minute piece in high school. So I was just like, "Ew, why the fuck am I on this stage right now?" Like, and then they just kept putting me up there, and I was like, ugh. And somebody called me and was like, "Yeah, my friend is looking for this actor to play this role," and it's like, and I was like, "Well, yeah, we'll call an actor." Why you call? I was like, "Call an actor, don't call me."
I don't know what this has to do with me.
Yeah, but she was like, "No, I think you'd be really good for it because it's like this hip hop loving Latina, like 19-year-old girl who wants to be a lawyer, and who's a skateboarder." And I was like, and she raps too. And I was like, bet. I was like, yeah. I was like, oh, that sounds nice. I would love to do that. So I met the writer, and we clicked, and then I did the workshop of the play, and then we did the full on play, and then I like a couple months later. Sorry if I'm talking too much, but this is how I got into acting.
No, you're not. This is all about you. You're fine.
But then a couple months later, my friends texted me and they were like, "Oh, I don't know. It's whatever. From that play, I got a manager, an acting manager, and then from then on, I just started auditioning for TV and film and stuff like that. And
so let's fast forward a little bit to The Walking Dead and how you booked that. I know, it's crazy. And tell me about that process.
Oh my God. I got the audition to send a tape, and I read I didn't know the character, and I read the sides and the lines, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, this is amazing. It was, oh man, I still have the sides, and I have them right here actually. I'll always keep those sides that I printed. I'll always keep that. That's very dear to me. I read it and I was like, I can do this. I love this character. Like, I love this character in all her flaws, in all her craziness, in all her awkwardness and childishness and badassness and like all of it and wildness, I was like, oh, I don't even know. So I got it and I sent in the tape, and I didn't leave my house for probably 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
My friends would call me and they were like, yo, where are you? I'm like, don't worry about it. I'm at home. Don't worry about it. I'm good. So I would just be lifting
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I would just be lifting weights and going over the lines, and lifting weights and going over the lines and going over the lines and doing push-ups and going over the lines. Like, I was just so into it, and I wanted to do it such justice to that character and the way it was written, that I really gave my all to it. Like, I can say that I worked my ass off for that role. And I sent the tape, and then we got the call back, and then I got new sides, and then I went in again. I really gave it my all.
Yeah.
I would even bring it in the shower, like I would bring it into the bathtub, the sides, and they're all kind of wet and fucked up, and it was just I need to do this justice, this character. Yeah.
were these the lines like when we first meet you, when Eugene and Ezekiel and Yumiko first see you, and you're kind of like having that mild like, are y'all real kind of thing?
Yeah, they were dummy sides, but they're very close to dummy sides are like fake sides, so it can keep the confidentiality, right? Is that the word?
Yeah.
Of the show and whatever. But they're very similar to it's that scene that was the first side, and then the second scene I won't talk about because I don't know. I don't know if I can, but that first scene, that was the first scene where she's like, like meeting them for the first time.
For those who don't know, Princess obviously comes straight from the comic books, and there was a few years ago when she was first introduced, and I was kind of nervous because I was still social media manager at that time, and I was like, The Walking Dead can be so gritty and so dark and this and that, and then here comes this sort of random ray of sunshine who's hilarious and also a badass, like she can hold her own, but also you're just like unsure of like where she is mentally, and who knows where the show will go. It seems like it's going this way, where eventually they go to sort of the next community, which is called the Commonwealth. But anyway, Princess is amazing, and I was sort of nervous to see what that would look like in the show, because again, it's such a contrast to everything else.
Mm-hmm.
We have people ripping each other's heads off, and then here comes this person in like a pink boa, essentially, and just like, here I am. And I think, and I'm not just saying this because I'm interviewing you, like, I honestly think you killed it. Like, it was like on point. And
oh, thank you.
Did you do any research into the comics?
Oh yeah, when once I got the call back, that's when I was able to like really, But when I auditioned for that first time you meet me, I had no idea. I had never read the comic book, and I didn't know that it was that character either. So right. I was just like, this is how I would do it, and and I did it, and no, I didn't. I later on I found out more about the character, but I didn't really know. I just thought I was auditioning for like a new role that did not exist,
Yeah.
So I was like, well, let me make it my own because it's new. So, but then when I found out about her later on, I was like, oh shit. But it is like, that gritty world and everything, but there's various characters that are like that. Ezekiel, is like kind of like that right. with that is like kind of like out of this world, and you're like, what the fuck? Negan is also kind of like that.
Oh yeah.
Really
like
rich
those characters.
And Alpha, even Alpha is kind of like out of this world, and it's cool to see how they meld into the show. Like, I'll never forget the moment Carol meets King Ezekiel. Like, right. I'll never, and when they meet him, like, I'll never forget that, because you at that point you've seen both worlds, and you've seen him with Shiva and everything, and you've seen who Rick Grimes is and who Carol is, and you're like, oh shit, I can't wait for these two worlds to meet.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. It's so exciting.
And Carol's like, I don't know what the hell's going on. She's like, yo, I'm done. All right. This is a guy with a tiger, and he's talking with a theatrical accent. I'm getting the fuck out of here. What the hell is going on?
It's so good.
Like, is this guy kidding me?
It's so good, man. It's so good.
So what was so once you book the role and you get in costume, what was your first day on set like?
Well, I cried.
Aww.
Yeah, I was just very, like I said, having been told that I wasn't gonna do much in my life, and to see like how I pushed through that, and really, with the help of so many beautiful people in my life, and so many people who have been so kind to me, to get to do the things that I'm just forever thankful. So tears always, are part of that, and just being thankful for it. But that first day, the first day was a camera test. So it was me, in costume for the first time. And I was just like, oh, so pumped. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm geeking out. Like, I'm constantly geeking out about this. Like, it's all my childhood dreams. Like, it's like my 6-year-old is constantly there. You know, 6-year-old Paola that wanted to do all these things is constantly present. That's what it feels like to wear the costume. It's like, yeah. So the first day on set was lovely, and everybody was just so sweet. Everybody was just so welcoming, and you know, so this. So after, I was really nervous to shoot that first day, and the night before, Eleanor and Kari and Josh, they all took me out to dinner the night before, just so I would meet them before I got on set, because it was going to be some pretty heavy days. And they took me out to dinner and were so kind to me. And Lauren was there too. It was just so sweet. So very kind people.
Ooh, Lauren Cohen?
Yeah.
Or Lauren Ridloff? Okay.
No, Cohen.
That's
Cohen,
awesome.
sorry. Yeah. Everybody was just so kind. I'm just so thankful.
Wow. And where did you guys shoot that to make it look like sort of an abandoned downtown Pittsburgh it was, right?
In Atlanta, in downtown.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. It was fun. So
That's
fun.
awesome. And was it really raining?
That whole day was raining.
And then that actually makes it easier for you, because you said you were crying, so.
It was, yeah. It was, that was a crazy day, because as soon as, like, the director, Laura, said action, it was like this kinetic energy that happened between all of us, and the rain just went, and it was that moment when, like, they confront me, and all of a sudden, like, the rain just started, like, and it was just like, we were all like, let's fucking do this. And it was so
nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was just, I felt that, we all felt that energy together, like, and the rain, like, came down real hard in that moment, and we were like, let's get it, let's go, team, let's go.
So that wasn't originally in the script, but when it started raining, they're like, fuck it, let's just go with it.
Yeah. It just happened to be perfect, because it was like the washing off of the facade.
Right.
You know, everybody coming clean.
Like meant to be.
Yeah, it was beautiful, man. It was beautiful.
Obviously, you know, you just got on the show now, but what happens when someone enters The Walking Dead, especially playing as big of a character as you're playing, there's like a whole other level of notoriety that comes with it. Are you ready for that new attention in your life?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I guess I don't know. I guess I'm gonna have to be.
I'm not trying to scare you. It's usually a good thing, you know. I mean, it's not like, you know, you walk outside and there's paparazzi, but still, you get more recognized, and your Instagram and Twitter followers spike. So start scrubbing your Twitter now. Any hot takes from 2011, just delete them right now. It's not worth it.
Right?
You're fine.
No, you know, I'm excited, and it's so far, like, the fans are so cool too, and they're just excited to meet the character, and like a lot of the comic book fans are pumped, and everybody's just been really nice. Everybody's been really cool, so I'm excited about meeting more of them and becoming part of the family, you know.
Cool. Are you based in Atlanta?
No, I live in New York. My apartment is in New York, but I live everywhere. I live where the work is at.
Gotcha.
Also, by the way, if you or anybody listening to this is in Washington, my play is coming up. We start April 6th. And I'm acting in
DC or state?
DC.
DC, okay.
And I'm acting in it too, so if y'all want to come through and check that out, it's called There's Always the Hudson is the name of the play. And it's at the Woolly Mammoth Theater Company. So
that's awesome.
through.
And when's the date on that again?
April 6th to May 10th.
Nice. Okay.
This mega disclaimer: it is not for the faint of heart, my people. Just letting y'all know.
Mega disclaimer. Oh man.
Like mega, super mega.
They will literally murder someone on stage.
It's hardcore. So I'm just letting everybody know that, so that nobody gets mad at me.
So you're doing that and then going straight into Walking Dead afterwards?
Yes.
Or are
sir.
you doing like kind of both? Okay, gotcha.
No, I'm
That's
more.
fantastic. I love that you're still doing that.
Oh yeah, yeah. We got to do it all, man. The passions.
You got it.
All the passions.
Hell yeah. If I'll look it up online, but I'm sure you'll be promoting it on your social, and we'll definitely hype that up for you as well. So we can get more people coming to that show, because that sounds awesome. I want to go. We're based in Los Angeles, so I'm not near DC, but if I was, I would totally go. But we're all rooting for you, and I know the fans are really excited about your character. So
yay!
Paola, thank you so much for talking to us. I really appreciate it. Tell the people where they can follow you on social media.
Where they can follow me?
Yeah.
On Instagram at Paola __ Lazaro.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing with Twitter. Paola __ Lazaro. Yeah.
Perfect.
I'm gonna be right there.
Well, welcome to the Walking Dead family. It's a really great fan base and it's a great community, and we're really excited to have you here. So thank you so much for talking to us. Hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
All right.
All right, and that was my interview with Paola. She is great. She's gone through quite a lot, and I was asking her a few weeks ago, are you ready for this fandom? Because you're about to become a lot more famous, and you might even get a blue check mark. I hope she gets that. Twitter and Instagram, if you're listening, and I know you listen to every episode, give her that blue check mark.
Hey, and look, I think we also understand that, as we covered in previous weeks, The Walking Dead is the AAA farm baseball franchise for the MCU. So, keep this up, and you might find yourself in some sort of Eternal sequel, and
you could be Miss
She-Hulk. I don't know.
All right, and that wraps up this week's episode of Talk Dead to Me. Thank you guys so much for listening. I know there's some uncertain times right now, and we're all working from home, and we don't know what's going to happen next, but, we're all in this together. We're all one Walking Dead family, and that does mean something to us. So we appreciate all your comments and love, and join us next week for a special episode. We're not going to tell you what that is yet, but just tune in.
Because we don't know.
That is possible.
Look, let's be honest with the folks here. We none of us thought that this is going to happen with the season finale. We're like most folks at home, we're facing an uncertain future, and we don't really know when World Beyond's going to be exactly back. We don't know when when episode 16, the very special episode, will be back. But what we can tell you is that we will be here next week. We don't know exactly what is going to be in that content. Who knows? Maybe we're going to do a recap of season 10. Maybe we're going to go through classic episodes until the show comes back. Maybe you can jump on social media and tell us what you would like to see.
Ooh, please do that.
All of this is to say that we are here for you. We definitely love doing this. We would be nothing without you folks who are showing up week after week. And Talk Dead to Me is going to keep going on. And because we like doing it, we're good friends. We don't see each other anymore because we are socially distancing.
So sad.
But we're doing this over Zoom, and it's fun.
Yep.
Also, Zoom is a huge security risk, and nobody's addressed it yet. But we'll get there.
Thank you guys so much, and as always, happy birthday, Nate.
Happy birthday, Nate.
Happy birthday, Nate.
Wash your hands, Nate.
Wash your hands, Nate.
I
Do you
swear
think Nate's
to God.
washing his hands?
I swear to God.
I hope so.
I feel like Nate's one of those guys who was on the beach and
Aww.
I thought Nate was in Chicago.
Yeah, but
I mean, it was
people
spring break,
go
though.
on spring break.
You're right. Nate is absolutely he's a well-heeled jet setter, and Nate is just seeing the sights,
South
not
Padre
thinking about us at
Island.
all.